Hi everyone. One of the things that's intrigued me about Tesla shares recently, apart from the rise in them, is where are their profits going to come from in the future. I come from a software background where quite often services can exceed license revenues. So what I thought I'd do is just look at the Tesla Superchargers and see what sort of profit they're making. Well, first thing we need to do is start off with the cost of a Supercharger stall. Figures I've got show that generally it's about £20,000 a stall to install a Supercharger. So the question we then have is, well, how much money is going to come in? We've now got all these Model 3s who are busy using them and paying for them. So where does it leave us? Well, I've come up with two ways of working this out. I thought you could either look at it from the point of view of the usage of the superchargers. So when I go into a supercharger station, I see a percentage of them in use. The other way is to look at it from the number of cars and say what's a typical usage by a Model 3 or Model Y owner. And we'll see whether we come up with the same sort of figures for both routes. If we take the average supercharger then, well, we can look at the profit per kilowatt hour of electricity, and from what I've seen of charging around Europe and from what I can find out in the States, we're probably looking at about 13 US cents for each kilowatt hour. So if we say that a supercharger stall is in use for 4 hours a day and probably averages about 70 kilowatts per hour while it's working, obviously there's some of it at maybe 110, 120 kilowatts, but the rest of it will be at a lower rate as it gets nearer 80%. So if we say 70 kilowatts as an all-round figure, what we end up with is just over $11,000 per year, assuming we work on a 6-day week. I don't know whether they're fully used at weekends. I tend not to go to them at weekends, but let's assume we get 2 days for one, so we work on a 6-day week. So we've got $11,000 income per year per stall. So by the end of 2020 we're going to be looking at about 1 million vehicles probably on the road and using Tesla superchargers and paying for them. If we assume a usage per car of $100, that will allow for some who use very few kilowatt hours and others who use them quite considerably for their work. That gives a total of $100 million, or $10,000 per supercharger stall. So what we've got is two figures that come pretty close to within 10% of each other. So I think we can say that it's probably reasonable to say that Tesla will make $10,000 per supercharger stall. Now at the end of 22, if we look forward, by the time we've got China working flat out and Germany coming on board and working flat out, there's probably going to be, I reckon there's going to be about 4 million vehicles that Tesla are charging for on the road. That will give a profit of $400 million. That is profit, that's bottom line profit. So these superchargers could well turn out to be quite a profitable little sideline for Tesla. Thanks a lot.